Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fantasy Fellow Show. I'm your host, the Fellow KGB. You can follow me on Twitter at the Fellow KGB. And tonight, January 14th, it's about 5:30 p.m. Central Time here. Tonight's just going to be a Thursday night hangout. We're going to just be looking around at some players that I had my attention on, and we'll be taking, I'm sure, plenty of questions from the chat room itself. We got Aiden in the chat room. What's going on, man? Good evening to you. Hope you're feeling better. But yeah, I don't know. Thursday's a really loosely planned show. I think I'm probably going to start by just looking at some of the injury reports here. I did see an interesting one. Kemba Walker is going to be coming back maybe next week. So definitely, I mean, if he's hanging around your waiver wire, he should be added. And if you have an IR spot, definitely think he's worth holding on to here. So he practiced, I think, in full. I thought I saw the report earlier today. So it looks like Kemba Walker is going to be back in a week or so, guys. So that's really exciting. What's going on, Turner? Thanks for hanging out tonight. Justin, what's going on, guys? Do I play you next week? I don't know. Let me check that real quick here. Let's pop over to the fellowship, the fun league here. Let me take a look at the standings. I know Turner got off to a little bit of a slow start, but we should see what's going on here. So Turner's in 11th place. It's 0-3. We got to get that turned around, buddy. Let's just look at the scoreboard real quick. I'm losing right now to Matt, the fellow MLB. This is my good friend Matt Bain here. Looks like Turner, though, is putting up a good amount of points. He's got Karl Anthony Towns back, so that's a big piece there. So it looks like he's going to secure a W, hopefully, for the week here. Let me just see what's ahead next week. I got to play Evansville Supersonics next week, and let's just take a look a week ahead here. So I don't play Turner for a while yet. No, not yet. Maybe week 8. No, I don't play Turner for a long time yet. So we'll get there, Turner. But there we go. Week 10, we get to play each other, so that'll be a lot of fun. But let's see what's going on here. So do I think Harden will be playing Saturday? It's tough to call. I would imagine Saturday. You know, he's probably there today, maybe going through a practice or two. Saturday's a good bet. I don't know. Let's take a look at that Brooklyn Nets schedule real quick and see what's going on. I think the bigger question is when is Kyrie playing? That's the one that I care about, I think, a little bit more. So we got on the 18th here. So it looks like I think Saturday is the 16th, and maybe I think worst case scenario you're going to see Milwaukee clash with the Brooklyn Nets here. So I do think that's going to be worst case scenario Milwaukee. Maybe he gets up for Orlando. He gets some minutes in there and gets the team going here. I don't know what the news blurb is in terms here. It says he could make his debut as early as Saturday, but I think for sure we'll get him in on Monday. So James Harden. James Harden with the Rockets. What do we think about this, guys? I mean, I was super interested in the idea of getting this big three guys together here. Kyrie Irving still not back. We really don't know what's going on. And it doesn't look like he's playing this weekend either. So hopefully he can come back soon. I don't know what the personal matter is. But I don't know. We'll see what happens with when that all comes back together here. So Aiden's 2-1. Should you try to trade for Irving? Because if you can give them value, they'll probably accept it. I think this is probably the last opportunity to maybe get a buy low opportunity on a guy like Kyrie Irving. And I just think with the construction of this team, Durant, Harden, Irving, and these guys are going to play a lot of minutes. Essentially, they're going to be plugging in James Harden into those Karis LeVert minutes. So if I just pull up Mr. LeVert here, who I actually think LeVert's going to be an interesting player over there in Indiana with TJ Warren, injured. But LeVert was playing a lot of minutes the last few games, 26, 36, 36, 32. So he was getting a lot of run. That was because, Kyrie and Kevin Durant were kind of in and out of the lineups. But I do think that, I don't know, LeVert's going to kind of – these are going to be a lot of Harden's numbers. You see the 20 points, 21, 43, 22, 24. So you're going to see, a good healthy amount of points here for Harden here. Let me see what's going on. So, yeah, Jordan Clarkson, let's take a look at his numbers real quick. So Jordan Clarkson, he's one of those guys that should probably be owned in all formats. He's only 55.5% owned. He's averaging 26 fantasy points per game here, so that's really nice. His minutes have been on an uptrend lately, 28, 25, 35, and 25. That's up from his season average of about 24.3. But the man, he's just kind of filling out the columns. I really appreciate the 3-point steals here. You see 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, 2. So he's doing a really good job on defense here with the steals department. He's going to chip in rebounds and assists. He's actually a pretty good rebounder here for a shooting guard. So I like that. And then the points, he's one of their best guys off the bench here. So I do think at 55.5% owned, I don't know if you guys play 8 or 10, 12-team leagues, but Clarkson, I mean, at this point, he should be owned. I think we're going to look in a little bit here. I'll keep going through some of the questions, but we'll take a peek and look and see if I can find some guys here who might be available in our leagues. Let me just click on schedule here. So I'll get that queued up. I'm going to filter by last 7. That's one of my favorite ways to filter. And then we'll hit averages here. So yeah, man, me being a Bucks fan, like, this sucks. That we're going to, it's probably going to be a clash there between maybe the Bucks and the Heat. We'll see if the Heat can get things going on here. So who should I trade for Beal? I think we answered that question a couple nights ago with John and Drake, but that's going to be a tough task, man. Bradley Beal's playing, he's one of the best players in the NBA right now. And in terms of fantasy points, I mean, I just filtered here by last 7 days in averages. He's averaging 55 points per game, and that's, up a little bit from his 50 on the season here. So for you to trade and get Bradley Beal, you're going to have to give up easily your best player and then probably like your 3rd or 4th best player too. So it's going to cost a lot to get a guy like Bradley Beal here. So I think I would need more details. Oscar is like, who's your 1st round pick? And maybe give me like who your first 5 picks were in that league. Because I think it's gonna cost quite a bit for Bradley Beal to be acquired. So let's see here. Did you hear Depot? He doesn't want to play anywhere, it seems like. He didn't want to be in Indiana. It might just be a 1-year deal here with the Houston Rockets. Houston's in trouble. Nobody wants to Houston, we have a problem. Nobody wants to play there for some reason. So we'll see. I don't know. I did hear that. I still like Oladipo. He was actually playing some pretty good ball for the Pacers, but we'll see if he can get things turned around here. Okay, that could be kind of fun. We've actually talked about that. So Aiden says you should do a fantasy mock draft to see how it switched up on the 4 weeks. We've kind of talked about that on the side with John and Drake and I. We could maybe do one next Tuesday night, but that would pretty much be the whole show. So we'd have to get a lot of takes in on anybody that we're taking there. So we could do a mock draft. I'll bring it up to those guys. Who should I trade for, Brogdon or Christian Wood? Let's pull that up then, sir. Let's take a look here. I'm gonna open up a new tab and we'll go look for it. So I'm gonna be honest. I don't do a lot of trades. I think it's kind of, for me, it's funny because you guys just keep hammering these trade questions, and I don't trade much in fantasy basketball. I tend to hold on to my guys. In the leagues that I play, we only get like maybe 4 or 5 trades all season. So you guys are trade crazy over here. Let me just pull up Turner's team real quick. So here we go, and he's looking to maybe acquire Malcolm Brogdon or Christian Wood. Based on this lineup, we like De'Aaron Fox. We like Clarkson at the 2. OG Anunoby's decent there. I don't know how much Bojan's helping us here. Mr. Bogdanovich looks like he's playing all right, but I don't like seeing some of these lows, these 9s, these 8s, these 11s, these 1s. So we could probably move on from him. Donovan Mitchell's been kind of a slow start here. Dylan Brooks is a really nice piece. Aldridge. I don't know if Marcus Sol's helping us out that much. Maybe he's just like a play for a little bit here for the week. I don't know if you just added him. That could be a weekly advantage type situation. I don't know. Maybe Porzingis. You might have to do like a 2-for-1 situation. But if you want to hold on to Porzingis, he just had his first game. You should probably get him off the IR and get him in the lineup for sure. But that's really fun to see. Porzingis, debut last night. He, fantasy points 27, only 21 minutes, so he's getting more points per minute there. So you love that. But I think if you're going to acquire a Brogdon or a Christian Wood at the power forward spot for Wood, you might have to give up another power forward in itself. Like, you could give up Porzingis straight up for a guy like Christian Wood. If you're going after Brogdon, you might have to give up like maybe a 2-for-1 situation. Brogdon's the problem is, like, both those guys are playing so well. It might be really hard to get those from the owners here. So maybe Donovan Mitchell. I think I'd rather have Brogdon than Donovan Mitchell right now. Mitchell has been a little bit slow start here, but he's starting to pick up a little bit. But I don't know. Maybe something like that, could be doing there for you. So do you think I could get Irving for Smart and Steven Adams? It's worth a question just because he's not playing right now. That maybe that owner is frustrated with him, so it's worth a shot. Marcus Smart's value might go down a little bit with Kemba Walker coming down soon, so it'd be probably wise to move on from him. And then I really like Mr. Steven Adams there. So LeBron James, I mean, if you want to offer LeBron James for Bradley Beal, that might get it done itself just because you're offering such a huge name brand there with LeBron James. But essentially you could try the 1-for-1 to get Bradley Beal, or maybe you offer, your second and fourth best player for Bradley Beal, try to do something like that. So do we think Terry Rozier and Murray will play good tonight? Let's take a look at that lineup right now here. Let's see here. I'm going to go here. So Mr. Terry Rozier, I'm not sure who's ins and out. Let me see here. So Charlotte, they don't have any ins and outs on here. And then I'm assuming that's Jamal Murray, right? Mr. Jamal Murray. Here, let's go to ESPN real quick, and I'll click on one of those games here. So let's click on Denver first. Let's take a look and see what's going on here. I don't see any news. Where are the news blurbs? I think this is going to be a high-scoring game, Golden State and Denver. I think this is going to be a good opportunity for Murray. Murray has not it's been a slow start for his year as well. So he's a potential buy low candidate at the moment. I think a lot of people spent third or fourth round picks on him, but 24, 13, 21, 38. I mean, just as of late, it hasn't been good. So maybe this is the bounce back game for him. We know he's going to play a lot, but it's a matter of him, chipping in, in the rebounds, assists, and steals. So I don't think he's going to play great. I think he's going to be somewhere, just under 30 fantasy points. So I think he's going to kind of continue being what he's doing, but I wouldn't expect, like a 30-point, a normal 30-point game from him, something like that. So maybe around 30 fantasy points tonight. And then with Mr. Rozier, scary Terry Rozier at Toronto, this one seems kind of fun. Charlotte and Toronto, this game could be a high-scoring game as well. Both teams don't really have big men, so this one could be a run and gun, a lot of shooting. So I think I would bet that Terry Rozier has a more fantasy points than Murray tonight. He plays a ton. He's a consistent scorer. I like his rebounding. I like his steals a lot. So I think Rozier is in for a good night as well. Tyrese Halliburton has been coming around. In one of my leagues, my dad drafted him and he cut him. And then all of a sudden, as soon as he cuts him, here we go. So I think he cut him in this little stretch where he wasn't playing. But man, Tyrese Halliburton, he's getting, almost 30 minutes plus here the last few games. I really like the consistency with the points, but the assists, that's what's really great here. 6, 8, 8, 4, and 9. That's probably well above these last 5 games. Is probably well above his averages on the season here. So Halliburton, the steals too. The man's been on a steal streak. 84% owned, so he's probably owned in most leagues here. But definitely, if you could potentially get him, I like Mr. Halliburton there. Who do you think has more value, Harden or Irving? That one's interesting because the guy with the ball in his hand is probably going to be Kyrie for the most part. And I'm going to be I try not to let my my feelings of a player get into it, but I'd rather root for Kyrie Irving. I'm not a big James Harden guy. That's why we weren't drafting him a lot in our mock draft shows. But these are the numbers from Irving, at the beginning of the year. And this was kind of with, Durant was kind of in and out of some of these games here. So I really don't know if Harden's going to, dip too much into these rebounds, assists for Kyrie. I still think Kyrie's going to be a big steal guy. The minutes are still going to be high up. And if anything, maybe his points go down just a little bit. I mean, he's averaging 27 points on the season. Maybe that jumps down to 34 or, 24 or 25 or so. But I think I'm going to lean with Kyrie in this one. I don't know. Harden's a shooter. Durant's also a shooter. I think I'm going to lean with the guy that's going to have the ball more in his hand. So I'm going to go Irving in this situation. Man, both Brogdon and Christian Wood, both really good options right now. Just the problem was if I own Brogdon, I'm not selling unless I get, something really big here. Cause he's been so consistent. And he doesn't have a bad game. His bad game's 30 points here. So this isn't a guy that I would typically trade. He's also number 4 ranking in the point guards here, 42 points. So essentially you would need to send the Brogdon owner, equivalent of, 40 to 45 points on a nightly basis here. So I do like Brogdon. Let me just take a look on Christian Wood. And with the Rockets, like Christian Wood's committed, like he ain't leaving anytime soon. I know there's a little bit of a dip here, so you maybe because it's the Rockets and there might be a little funk. Maybe I think you'd probably get a better chance at getting the Christian Wood owner here. He does rank 13th. That looks a little bit more tradable than the 4 that Brogdon is. But with Harden out of the picture now, like this is going to be Christian Wood and John Wall's team. So I think go for I tried going for Christian Wood. Yeah, man, you guys trade crazy. So Marcus Gasol and other players are just pickups to fill out. But yeah, man, you should definitely get Porzingis in the lineup tonight. I saw he was on your IR, and I think they do play tonight. I'm pretty sure they play tonight. Is that true? Does Dallas play tonight? That might be tomorrow night. Dallas might play tomorrow night. Dallas Milwaukee tomorrow night. That's a really fun game there for us. So Oscar's saying if you had to give up Beal, that would never happen. But who would you be eyeing up most in a trade? So if you had to give up Beal, and who would I be eyeing up the most? I mean, I'm gonna want a guy that's getting upwards of 50+ points. So if I just look at that like on the whole season. We're just going to filter points here. Like if I'm giving up, technically Bradley Beal is he's the 4th best player in fantasy points per game right now. I'm going to want someone, like Kevin Durant and above, whether it's Durant, Giannis, Katz, Embiid, Doncic, or Jokic. Like I'm going to want something and above here. I think that's where I'm going to be eyeing up. But that's if you're looking for a 1-for-1 deal to get Bradley Beal. I think if you could acquire Bradley Beal for 2 like solid players, like if we scroll down the list, like would you give up a guy like Christian Wood and a package of Christian Wood and a guy like Kyle Lowry maybe? You're looking at like a 3rd-tier player and maybe like a 5th-tiered player. So maybe someone that needs some depth. I think that could be interesting there. Yeah, Gordon Hayward's not playing tonight. Let's see. Aiden's asking, who do you think I can get for Garland, Kemba, and Wiseman? Who do you think I could get? Are you just looking for one player here, Aiden? If you're sending the house for Garland, Kemba, and Wiseman, I mean, you're probably looking at, potentially someone in this range. And it really depends on who your position is. But if this is a 3-for-1 deal, you might have to wait a little bit for Kemba to come back. I don't know if too many people are aware that Kemba's coming back right now. But with Garland also on the shelf too, this might be a hard trade. I think I would wait maybe a week, wait to see if Garland comes back soon. And then definitely Kemba. I think the Kemba buzz is going to grow here. So I think I would hold on to those 2 guys until the value gets a little bit more exciting. And then you can send them there. Yeah, so no Maverick game tonight. What's going on, Paul? Thanks for hanging out tonight. I don't know if I've seen Paul in our chat room, so welcome to the show. Thank you for hanging out with us tonight. He says he just traded Middleton and Mitchell Robinson for Sabonis and Jared Allen before the trade. Happy with Sabonis, but an L on Jared Allen, moved to Cleveland. Yeah, that does suck a little bit. But I was thinking a lot about this Cleveland situation, and like they've always all season they've had room for 2 centers to be really successful here. Just because Drummond's a tank, and he's going to average a ton of minutes. He averages 31.5 minutes. Let me just pull up the Cleveland team as a whole here, and we're just going to filter by minutes. So typically, Larry Nance Jr., he's been getting a ton of minutes here. I would wonder if they give a guy like Jared Allen, some of those minutes. Allen was averaging 26.5. So I would imagine those guys kind of flip-flop. I actually think this, call me crazy, but as long as Kevin Love is out, you might be seeing these kind of numbers in minutes for a guy like Jared Allen, whether it's, maybe 28 minutes is probably, that might be the ceiling here, but he got 31.75 points. So I would hold out hope for Allen. Let's watch the Cavaliers are just hit with a bunch of injuries and, personals and all kinds of outs right now. So I do think there's room for Allen to grow. And as good as he's playing, man, I just think he can step in there while Kevin Love is away. I'm not sure when Love's coming back quite yet. It's at least 3 weeks. So this would be, I think maybe next week we'll start getting some Kevin Love reports. So we'll see. I think if Jared Allen comes in hot and looks good. Also, what's up with Drummond here? He's got an Achilles thing here. I don't know what's going on, but he missed the other night here. So let's just hold out hope for Jared Allen here. But I don't know, man. I appreciate you hanging out with us. in the chat room tonight. If you guys are new to the channel, don't subscribe to the YouTube channel, man. We do this almost every night during the week here, so don't forget to like and leave a comment as well. Let's see what else we got in the chat room. Oscar is saying, I sent Beal and Deontay Murray for Luka, except I sent Beal and Deontay Murray for Luka, except you be getting Luka in this situation? That one's tough because I'm thinking, I mean, Deontay Murray's been a pretty good player so far this year. This one's really fair. I mean, I think this is tough. Getting Luka and Bradley Beal involved in the same trade. Let me stew on this for just a second here, because Luka just had like one of the best games of his career last night. 75.75 points, 34, 13, and 9. Not quite the triple double, but man, he's putting up some 70s here. So he's just continuing to hammer out some fantasy points. I would do it. Are you able to lower Deontay Murray to somebody else? Because I really think Murray's a really solid piece there. So if you can maybe lower Murray to somebody else, I think that's when I would go get Luka. Do you think this is a good trade? I get Kelly Oubre, Brandon Clark, Josh questionable next game for Capella. I get Oubre and Clark. I think just off the top of my head, let me just see what Capella is doing right now. But I think that's I want Oubre and Brandon Clark. Capella's a really nice player. I still think people kind of view him as injury prone. He doesn't play a ton of minutes. He settles in around, I guess he's averaging almost 26 and a half. His minutes have been up the last handful of games here. But with Oubre, I mean, I think this is a potential buy low for Kelly Oubre. He's actually, as bad as he was at the beginning of the year, he's kind of evening things out. You see a 10 and a 14, that's not great. But he does have this potential to hit about 30 points per game. And with Brandon Clark, like, even when John Morant comes back, that's not going to hurt Brandon Clark because they're, totally different positions. But Clark is all of a sudden, he had a slow start too, but he's starting to come around. So I think I'm going to take Kelly Oubre and Brandon Clark in that deal. Can we just talk about how good Dame and CJ McCollum, man, what's weird though is it's not really translating to wins quite yet for Portland. They're still, 7-4. I guess that's better than what it was last year for sure. But man, like McCollum is scoring buckets right now. I want to see where our guy Lillard steps in here. So McCollum is sitting, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He's the 10th best player in fantasy with this scoring format so far. You got Lillard probably in the top 20. So, man, congrats, I guess, if you drafted McCollum in the 4th or 5th round of your draft. I think with Lillard, we're kind of just waiting for him to be a little bit more consistent. Like, we love these high-end 60 games for sure, a couple of 50s here, but he dips a little bit in, the 20s and the 30s. So, but yeah, he's the number 1 ranked point guard somehow. I don't know why. I think Luka would be that, wouldn't he? Interesting. But anyways, yeah, and especially with like guys coming back from injury, we're talking about Kevin Love here. It usually takes like a week for those guys to get into the swing of things and back up to their normal minutes. So with Kevin Love, it might be, maybe until February. Like, we might not see full Kevin Love until February yet. So Lillard, CJ Mello, the best I think they can get, the 3rd seed. Yeah. Yep. Let's see here. Oh man. How deep is the league? What league we talking about here? Yeah, Beal, man. Bradley Beal is just, like, I guess in my scoring format, his best game has been 73.25. I don't know what kind of scoring formats everyone else plays in, but we don't do like shooting. If like you miss, you get a negative point or anything there. So Aiden's asking, should I pick up Dwayne Wade and Dirk on ESPN and then go my IR? I mean, if you want to get maybe one of them, go for it. But that could, you're going to have to cut somebody to get rid of those guys to elevate them up. So I think if you want to have some fun, might as well add a player that you like there. He said no way to the trade, the Luka trade here. So I got to go back to Oscars here. So it's kind of funny to me because I'm getting a lot of questions about like some of the top end players about trading for. And for me, like, I got Luka. I'm not moving Luka. Like, you couldn't really send me any trade offer here that I'm going to accept for Luka, unless you're going to like put your team, your 5 best players or something up there. So for me, I think it's really hard to acquire some of these guys that are 100%, like essentially the best player on other people's teams. You guys might have to like aim a little bit lower, and maybe we look down here, like go ask the Ja Morant owner what he's doing right now. See if he wants to get rid of Ja Morant. We know he's coming back soon. But like, especially like I like looking for players that are out. So like Porter Jr., Bam Adebayo, the Miami Heat players here, Jimmy Butler. Kind of see what those guys are doing. A guy like Colin Sexton, he's been out for a while. These are probably better trade candidates than buying a guy at the top of his value here, like Beal or Luka or even Jokic for that matter. I just think that's going to be a hard conversation with that owner. Maybe go ask the Jason Tatum owner, who's been out for 3 games now, just see how he's feeling. Kemba Walker's coming back, but I think that could actually help Jason Tatum make more buckets. Even Jaylen Brown too. That's going to help a little bit there. So I think that is how I would do some of that stuff. Let me just see what else we got going on here. Yeah, that's how I am a lot. Like, I really don't trade at all. Like, I'm not actively looking to trade any of my guys. I like to draft my guys, ride with them, and the season's still young. We're only in like week 4 of the NBA. It still kind of feels like we're watching preseason basketball with a lot of minutes. I know the injury reports have been pretty frustrating for me, at least, and especially when you see guys that are day to day and they're actually out. That's a little frustrating there. No, man, I'm sticking with the Nets. I'm not moving the Nets until we see them for a little bit here. Yep, just hold on to your Nets. I wouldn't make any crazy decisions here. That's a pretty good idea there. To maybe someone's excited about Kemba coming back. See what you can get. If the guy's got and Ja Morant and he's a Celtics fan, I think that's a good conversation for sure. But now that we're kind of settled in here, we're almost halfway through the show. I'm going to kind of just filter through, and we're going to look at I'm going to filter the last 7 days, and we're just going to see like what kind of guys stick out here for me. So I'm filtering by fantasy points the last 7 days, and I'm just looking at this percent roster tab, and we're going to throw out some names here that I think need to be on people's waiver wires or their watch lists at least. So I remember getting a couple questions about the Raptors' Chris Boucher. This isn't probably a guy that I would trade right now. If you own Chris Boucher, I would probably hold on to him. I mean, he's starting to put up some 40s, some 50s. He's essentially playing almost just as good as Pascal Siakam. Like, you see Siakam's right here averaging about 47 fantasy points the last few games, and Boucher is down here at 44. So he's tremendous value, 82% owned. I'm holding on to him. We do have an interesting game here from Dorian Finney-Smith the other night. This might have been the overtime game, but he hasn't played in a little bit, but he put up 14, 8, 2, and 3 and 2 blocks, 42 points. So I've got him, on a lot of my watch lists here. So keep an eye out for him. Let me see what else we got here. So I'm just, again, continuing to roll down here with what's going on with Philadelphia and all their, their injuries, their personals, their COVIDs. Tyrese Maxey's been getting a lot of run here. He's only 44.5% owned, but the man's on a bender right now. Ever since basically, the 7th of January, you see 28, almost 60 points, 31, 33. This is a guy that, as long as Philadelphia is going through all their stuff that they're going through, I mean, Maxey's probably worth an add and play for the most part. Let me keep moving down the list. So I'm kind of just looking for guys with really low numbers here. So Kelly Olynyk, this is a really good one here. He's 35% owned. He's averaging 35.8 points in the last few games here. But I think that's really only measuring these 2 games. So he's been kind of in and out. I can't remember what his injury was. But on the 12th, you see 35.5 fantasy points. On the 9th, 36. He's a really good player. And then I think with everything going on with the Miami Heat right now, they're looking for a lot of just basically anybody. You see 45 minutes here against Philly, 32 the other night against Washington. So Kelly Olynyk, we're going to add him to the watch list, only 35% owned. Let me see who else sticks out here. So PJ Washington, this one's kind of fun. He's about 74% owned, so he's probably owned in your league. But just keep an eye on him because this is a really fun second-year player. They like to go with him as their 5 a lot. He's actually a power forward. He plays the 4. But when they go to small ball, PJ Washington actually gets a lot of opportunity here. So he's kind of on a hot streak, maybe the last week and a half. I mean, he's the eighth best. He's the 8th ranked power forward. So that's kind of fun there. Let's move over to page 2, and I'll look at the comments in a minute or two here. I'm just kind of looking out here. We talked about Deandre Hunter quite a bit earlier in the week here. This is a trade. This is a guy that if you're looking to make a trade like this, these are the types of players that I'm looking to trade for. Because I value Deandre Hunter a lot. He's averaging about 30 fantasy points per game here. I love how many minutes he's playing. He's averaging almost 32 minutes per game. And he's not going to, put off 30 points in a given night, but he's very consistent. He's very active in the rebounding. The assists, it kind of comes and goes, but he's going to get a couple each night. But the steals and the blocks, he's very good at kind of chipping in on the defensive end here too. So DeAndre Hunter, under 80% owned. Like if you're looking at, a guy to maybe make a move for, these are the types of guys that I like trading for because they don't have a lot of name value. Sometimes people don't really have a good, feel for value when they're looking at their players here. So I'm kind of moving on down here. I think I talked about Hamadou Diallo earlier in the week as well. He popped off the last few games. It looks like on the 10th and the 8th for 40-plus points. And he's kind of settling, he's on the downtrend now. But just keep an eye on him. Add him to your watch list. I think I own him in this league, so I don't have it there. But definitely keep an eye. He's only 21.4% owned. So let me see what's going on in the comments here. Let's see, Okoro. I like Okoro. We'll pull up Isaac Okoro in a little bit. And yes, Lonnie Walker, man, he should be available. So let me pull up some of these names. We'll start with Okoro. So again, with Cleveland's situation right now, he's going to get minutes. You see, he's averaging 36 minutes on the season. They want to get this kid on the court. It's not coming all together yet in one game, but it's going to be there eventually. So he's only 6.3% owned. Like I'm going to definitely add him to my watch list. If you play in deeper leagues, he should be a guy that you're putting on your watch list as well. Let's see here. Lonnie Walker. Now, Lonnie actually got off to a really nice start. He's kind of been on and off a couple of my teams. But man, he's starting to put together some really nice games, scoring 24 and 25 points in back-to-back nights. I don't think we can expect that every night. I don't know if DeMar DeRozan was missing in one of those games or not. But this is a guy that's very active, throughout all the categories: rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. He's going to chip in throughout all of those. But he kind of, hit a lull the last couple weeks, but he's starting to perk back up here too. 26.3% owned. I definitely would recommend maybe hitting him while he's on this hot streak and see what happens with Lonnie Walker. And then Shake Milton. So I like Shake, but man, what's going on with Philadelphia? He hasn't played for a while yet, but when he's playing, he's actually playing pretty well. I don't know about these 8s and these 6s, but he's averaging over 22 points per game. That's typically my number for the worst player on my team. I want him to hit at least 20 fantasy points. So this is a guy, I don't know. It says he's available for Thursday's game. I don't know. We'll see. But keep an eye on him for sure. If he plays tonight and plays well, we're gonna go after him. Shake or Maxey. So if you're looking for long term, I'm going Shake. If you're looking for right now, we'll go Maxey. Do you think the owner would do Beal for Deontay Murray for Kawhi and Jamal Murray? That's probably getting a little bit closer. I think Kawhi's name helps the offset the loss of Bradley Beal. So that's worth the trick. But man, for me, like if I own Bradley Beal, I'm not sending away Bradley Beal right now. As good as he's playing, I'd rather hold on to him. I don't know. We'll see. The way Maxey is playing, he definitely has the momentum. But it seems like Shake's kind of the veteran there, that when he comes back, he's still going to step in. I mean, you look at what was happening with Shake before all the injuries and all the COVID stuff going on over there. They weren't really using him very much and very consistently. So back in those games, they were still using Shake over him, and you see a lot more consistent minutes. So because it's going to be his first game back maybe tonight, it's still probably going to be a little bit heavy Maxey, but I think in the long run, it's probably going to be Shake, kind of getting back to where he's going here. It's close. It's 50-50. How do you feel about Bey? Sadiq Bey. He's a fun rookie. I'm not trusting him, but I think you're asking for maybe your 20-man league here. He's only 4.2% owned. So, I mean, if you can get him, I definitely would get him. I like that he's getting minutes. He's actually, starting to score consistently here too. So you like that. The rebounding's not quite there yet. Some of the assist numbers are there, but I don't know. If he's under 5% owned, so if you can get him for your 20-man league, I think I like him there. Yeah, DeMar missed both games there, so Walker might just be a flash in the pan. But if anything, so here's the signal: if anything happens to DeMar DeRozan, if he's going to be out for like a week with an ankle sprain or something, go get Lonnie Walker. So just file that away there for you. So I want Jamal. Who should I give up? I have Hayward, Deontay Murray, and Kyle Lowry. If you want Jamal, I like all three of those guys quite a bit here. I don't think Gordon Hayward's not playing tonight. Hayward's been the most inconsistent of all those guys here. He's also got the highest ceiling, on a game, per game basis. He's averaging almost 36. The thing I like about Deontay Murray is he's actually very consistent. I like all of his activeness in the rebounding and the assist column as well, averaging just a little bit under Gordon Hayward. And then with Kyle Lowry, I don't know if we can move Lowry. He's playing some good ball too. He's actually very consistent as well. So I guess if you're going to look to move one guy, like do you value the consistency of Deontay Murray and Kyle Lowry? I think I do. So I think I'm probably more likely to move Hayward in that deal. Robert Williams. Yes, he's looking pretty good here. The young power forward center. It says he's out still, so keep an eye on him. He might be back. Who tested positive on January 7th. That's almost, we're almost up to his 10-day window, I think. So maybe I don't know if they play Saturday or Sunday, but he might be back over the weekend here. But definitely in larger leagues, he's only 6.2% owned. Keep an eye on him. We'll see what he can do when he comes back to the floor. Nobody over 0.5 is on the waiver wire. Damn it. LaMelo will get the starting job. I don't know if they're going to give him the keys at any point this year if everybody else is healthy. Terry Rozier's playing. Like, there's no reason, to bench Terry Rozier right now. And I still think our guy, Deontay Graham, Devontae Graham, is still playing some pretty good ball here too. They like getting these guards a lot of minutes. So maybe towards the end of the season, if they're not looking like they're going to make the playoffs, but at the moment right now, Charlotte's the 7th seed here, so I don't see any change. Maybe towards the end of the season, if they do get lower on the totem pole, we'll see some minutes there. But I like the veteran of Terry Rozier paid with Devontae Graham, so we're going to continue, I think, to see LaMelo kind of just worked in and get some minutes and spread out. But he's playing great ball, so you love to see this. He's actually playing. He's playing better than his brother right now too. So DeMar is back. Kyle Lowry. Yes, I think Lowry's probably the lowest ceiling player. I just I admire consistency, so that's kind of what I tend to go with. So Mr. LaMelo, did we overpay with the trade? I said before I gave up Russ and DeMar for KD and Jamal. I think it was good. I think Jamal will bounce back, and Russ is out 3-4 weeks. No back-to-backs. I agree totally with those points right there. And with Kevin Durant, man, he's probably the best player of the group. I do like Russ's ability to get, all the stats there. But again, like you said, he's out 3 to 4 weeks. I don't want to wait 3 to 4 weeks on a player like that when you can plug in KD and Jamal. And Jamal, I think it's just a matter of time. He just needs to have 1 or 2 of those games back to back where he lights everything up. So I do think I think he won that trade pretty well there. So Cody Zeller or Mason Plumlee. Is Cody Zeller back yet? No, he was injured early in the season, so he's not back yet. If you're looking for a pretty good center, it's going to be Bismack Biambo. He's actually starting right now for Cody Zeller, averaging about 22 points per game, 12.5% rostered here. He's earlier in the season is when I had him on my team, and he was getting, upwards of 20, sometimes in the 30s here. Had a little bit of a lull here, but he came back last night against Dallas for 28 and a quarter here. So Biombo is probably the guy if you're looking for a center there. And then with Plumlee, Plumlee was one of those guys that I highlighted a lot in the pre-draft stuff, just because I knew he was going to get a lot of play. The minutes seem to be a little inconsistent, but the man stacks rebounds. He's also gonna get steals and blocks. He actually gets more steals than blocks, so you love that. So definitely, I think Plumlee, and then maybe look at Biambo. So we sent Lowry and PJ Washington for Jamal Murray. Yes or no? I'd rather have Lowry and PJ Washington. I think I'd rather have those two guys. Yeah, that's a little bit too much. If you want Murray, you could probably just get him straight up for Lowry. Hold on to PJ Washington there. So Ruri is on waivers. I'm picking him up Monday because I have. There you go, Ruri Hachimura, man, go get Ruri. Thomas Bryant's out for the season, and I know they're different positions. Ruri's more of a 3-4, Bryant more of a 4-5, but they're going to look to get him as many minutes as possible. He's on a 3-game hot streak. This isn't even a hot streak. I think Ruri can play a lot better yet. So definitely, I mean, 52.1% owned. Like, go get Ruri if he's available. That's a really good player to look at there. So let me kind of get back to, just calling out some names here. We'll click on available in this league, and we'll look again. We're just looking at the last 7 days, guys that should be available here. We talked about Shake Milton a little bit, Ruri Hachimura for sure. Damian Dotson's been playing some really good ball, but with Colin Sexton maybe coming back soon, this might not be the best play. But he did have some really good run there when Sexton was out. We talked about Lonnie Walker. This one's interesting. Nickel Alexander Walker, shooting guard for the Pelicans, put up 50 points for fantasy last night. So this isn't something that I think we can trust, but man, he scored 37 real points, 8 rebounds, and chipped in an assist and a steal there. Thaddeus Young, this is a veteran for the Chicago Bulls who's actually been trending upwards the last handful of games here. He missed the beginning part of the season, but he's starting to chip in kind of all the stats that you're looking for. Only 7.5% owned, so that's someone too. But this is one here that I really like a lot, and this is Josh Hart, New Orleans Pelicans. The dude, for a shooting guard, small forward, he's averaging 8 points. He's averaging more rebounds than points. So this is a guy, especially in a category league, you're getting a stud here. In the rebound department. I really like the consistency in some of these fantasy numbers here. He's only 13.3% rostered. So Mr. Josh Hart, I'm out of pickups from my league in this one, but I definitely wouldn't mind adding Josh Hart right now. I like the minutes too. He's averaging almost 30 minutes per game. So Josh Hart, that's one of the best recommendations I think I can give right now. Yeah, you can pick up Seth Curry here. Where is Mr. Seth Curry? Am I missing Seth Curry here? Chef Curry. Yeah, Curry is available. He's currently out at the moment right now. So he tested positive on the 7th. Again, they usually do 10 days from there. So on the 17th, that's when he could be available. But definitely Seth Curry is a guy that should be available. He's 65% owned, 26.4 points. In the leagues that I play, we put a weekly cap on your transactions just because otherwise everyone would just be adding players, pretty much every day, running up the scores and the ads there. So we technically only get 5 pickups per week here. So I would love to get Curry on my team if I could. There's a couple other guys here that I would love to get as well. Guys like, I like Milton. I like Josh Hart quite a bit here. Daniel Tice, this is one to keep an eye on. We talked about Robert Williams a little bit. That's why Williams has been getting some run because Tice has been out, but a couple good games here in a row from Daniel Tice. It's been an inconsistent start to his season, but he actually was playing pretty well last year. Another guy here is Gary Harris. He didn't play he's questionable for tonight, didn't play last night, but he was starting to kind of put 4 good games together in a row here. So I really like seeing a 19, a 21, a 27, and 26. So keep an eye here on Mr. Gary Harris. We'll see if he plays tonight and plays well. And now we're kind of getting into the low 20s for points here. I'm just seeing if anybody else stacks up. And I don't know, there's some, like here we talked about Bismack Biambo. Kem Birch was another guy here. He didn't have a great game on the 11th here, but before that, you see 31, 20, 23, 33. So some pretty consistent points here in a row, hitting, the 20 minutes per game here. I don't know what dipped against Milwaukee. Maybe it just wasn't a close competitive game. Let's see here. Let's see what's going on in the chat room here. What about Patrick Williams? Oh, hold on here. Seth Curry and Kyle for Jamal Fair. Seth Curry and Kyle. Who's the Kyle? Kyle Lowry. I think we're talking about. Seth Curry and Kyle Lowry for Jamal Fair. I don't know. I think you can maybe get Jamal for Kyle Lowry straight up. I think I would try that. And then what about Patrick Williams? We talked a little bit about Patrick Williams on the Tuesday night show. And again, this is a young player that they're going to try to make sure gets on the court as much as possible this year. I like the 36 and the 34 minutes a lot. He's still kind of inconsistent with the scoring, inconsistent, with amongst the categories here for sure. But he's, starting to develop a high floor of, 14 to 16 points. So I like this. Only 13.8% owned. I think that's definitely worth looking at if you guys need some small forward help there. Let's see if I can find anybody else. So I don't know, just the way I like to filter a lot of things is sometimes I'll look at the last 7, I'll look at the last 15. That gives me a wider range perspective here. So if I hit the averages there, a guy like Tony Bradley is going to fill in here. Only 2 big games for him there. But we talked about Seth Curry. The last 15 days, he's been averaging 28.4 points. So definitely, I wish I didn't burn up all my pickups for the week here. That kind of sucks. Bite me in the ass. But I don't know. Kind of just moving along. Again, Bismack Biambo. I think we kind of talked about a lot of these guys here that I was looking at. If you guys have any more questions, we can fill them out. Otherwise, I think I'm going to get out of here for the night. We got some basketball games starting up probably in 20 minutes or so. We got Philadelphia and Miami starting right now. But we do have 2 games coming up around the corner here. So who is Gabe Vincent? Let me see here what Aiden's got. So Gabe Vincent, huh? Down here for the Miami Heat, getting some run here. 36 minutes the other night, 24 points, 2, 3, and 2. I'm not gonna lie, I've never heard of Gabe Vincent. I don't know where they got him from. I've never heard of him myself, just until when I saw him on the list here. So Beal and Brown for Giannis and De'Aaron Fox. Thoughts? So I'm assuming that's Jaylen Brown, Bradley Beal and Jaylen Brown for Giannis and De'Aaron Fox. Aiden, I think in your 20-man league, he's worth an ad just to see and hold on to and see what's going on. The Heat are going through a lot of weird stuff right now. So maybe for a week at least, hold on to him. But what do we do here with Oscars, Bradley Beal and Jaylen Brown for Giannis and De'Aaron Fox? I mean, that one's close. That one's more 50-50. But again, I don't know. Like, it's going to be tough, I think, to get. Assuming you have Giannis and Fox, you're still trying to get Bradley Beal, I think, here, right? But if you're offering Giannis, that might be more attractive. So I think that's more 50-50. But again, I'm not moving Giannis. I'm probably not moving Bradley Beal. These are tough guys to trade for, I think. He and over 1% of players that are owned. Heat only had 8 Tuesday. Yeah, that's why he played. So the Heat are in a weird situation. You might be able to get a couple more games out of him the rest of the week, but I'm not really loving it that much here. Would Tatum out with a package with Brennan Ingram be tempting? Yes, I think that's really good. Brennan Ingram, I don't see much drop off in fantasy, from Tatum to Ingram. So if you can get Brandon Ingram plus a piece or 2, I think I would go for that. And with Kemba Walker right around the return here, you might be able to kind of get to a sell high moment for Tatum here too. So I think I'm all for that here. But let me see what else we got going on here. And a couple other things I like to filter. Sometimes I'll go to the health tab and just hit IR eligible and just see who's sticking up here. If I can add a guy to my IR, I'm definitely looking around here to see and just kind of reading on some of the news blurbs to see when guys are coming back. I think that's a really, really helpful way of looking at some of the guys here and maybe finding a player or 2 that you could take a piece on. But I think that's going to do it for tonight's show. We're going on just about 50 minutes here. I just want to thank everyone in the chat room. We had Paul McDermott hanging out in the chat room, Aiden, of course, Oscar, our guy Justin, looking for anybody else here that I might have missed. Just a good group of 4 guys here. So I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me tonight. Turner was in here earlier tonight too. But it's Thursday night. Tomorrow, I'm headed to Chicago tomorrow. So I'm not going to be doing a show on Saturday. I usually do my football show on Saturday. So I'm going live tomorrow, 1 o'clock afternoon. We'll be going live there. So if you guys want to hang out and talk some football with me, come hang out at 1 o'clock. But otherwise, you guys have a good rest of your night. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you guys in another video. Peace.